This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp. Let's pause and take a moment to talk about something very important. Life has its pressures for everyone, and we often carry the immense weight of expectation to never show weakness, to hide our true feelings, and believe that asking for support somehow makes us less of a person. But bottling things up isn't the answer. It can often lead to feeling down, burnout, or other unhealthy habits. We want to normalize the idea that it's okay to struggle. Real strength actually comes from opening up about what you are carrying and doing something about it so that you can be at your best for yourself and everyone in your life. If you're feeling the weight of the world, or even if things just feel a bit off, I can't stress enough the value of talking to someone. It could be a friend, a loved one, or a therapist. We here at This Week Explained believe that therapy can be incredibly valuable. Whether you've been in therapy personally or not, the broader benefits are clear. It's so helpful for learning positive coping skills, understanding how to set healthy boundaries, and it really empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And it's so important to remember that therapy isn't just for those who've experienced combat or major trauma. It's a tool for anyone looking to improve their mental well-being and navigate life's challenges. That's why we're thrilled to talk about BetterHelp. With over 5,000 therapists in the UK, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it clearly resonates with users, boasting an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars based on over 1.7 million client reviews. It's also incredibly convenient. You can connect with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy schedule. And you can even switch therapists at any time if you feel it's not the right fit. And here's something special for our listeners. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp is offering our listeners 10% off their first month. What are you waiting for? Talk it out with BetterHelp. Once again, our listeners get 10% off their first month by going to betterhelp.com/thisweek. That's BetterHelp.com/thisweek. Tired of feeling overwhelmed by the headlines? Want to truly understand the why behind the global chaos? Then you are in the right place. Welcome to This Week Explained, your weekly deep dive into the most complex and impactful stories shaping our world. I'm Tiana, and joining me as always is Kervin. Before we jump into the crucial developments of the week, a quick favor. If you want to ensure you never miss an episode, make sure you're following or subscribed on your podcast platform. It literally takes 2 seconds and keeps you instantly updated. And if you are getting value from what we are doing here, a simple rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify helps us reach more curious minds like yours. And don't forget the new interactive comments on Spotify. It's a fantastic way to engage directly with the show and other listeners, extending the conversation beyond the broadcast. You can also find more fantastic podcasts like ours by visiting leonmedianetwork.com, part of the awesome Leon Media Network. This week, we're diving into the latest from Ukraine and Gaza and an Israeli strike in Yemen targeting Houthi leadership. We're going to start, as always, with the latest developments from the war in Ukraine. So, Kervin, the situation has not calmed down since we last spoke, and the diplomatic efforts that follow the summit between the U.S. and Russia seem to be at a standstill, which is shocking to nobody. The lack of a face-to-face meeting between the two warring leaders is now the main topic of conversation.
Yeah, it really looks like the conversation has shifted to what can be done now to help Ukraine after that huge nothing burger of a Trump-Putin summit that happened a few weeks back. So this past week, President Zelensky's top aide, Andriy Yermak, met with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. That happened in New York this week. And while Yermak expressed Ukraine's support for the U.S. push for peace, he also accused Russia of doing everything that it can to prevent a meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky.
And what is Russia's stance in all of this?
Well, I mean, their position has been consistent. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov did say that while President Putin is open to a meeting, he's open to it, it must be, and I'll quote him here, quote, well prepared, end quote, with a set agenda. Now, he said the expert-level work needed for this meeting is not currently in full swing, which appears to be Russia's way of stalling these negotiations. It is an interesting contrast. President Trump says he is ready to get them to the table, but it is now Russia saying that the homework has not been done yet.
What does not in full swing even mean
Mm.
in this context? I don't understand.
Uh, so, from a Russian perspective, it would mean that there's been no discussion with them on how to go about these meetings. And when they say well prepared with a set agenda, they really mean with an agenda of, what a complete capitulation for Ukraine is going to look like. And this is why it's like, this is a stalling tactic, because they're never going to agree to the sit down meeting. But if they keep saying they will agree according to these conditions that'll never be met, they can at least save face publicly to their own people that we are the ones that are trying to find peace. It's everyone else that has not come up with a true plan. Russia's true plan being give Ukraine to Russia.
But how have they not looked at, I'm saying the civilians, Russia's people, how have they not looked at it and seen that other people are making suggestions and that it's Russia drawing these hard lines and saying we are not going to come to the table with Ukraine specifically until they capitulate to all of our demands? Wouldn't they see that that's them being stubborn and prideful and greedy and, prolonging this protractive war, this conflict?
And I think some within Russia do see that, but you've got to understand it's a semi-closed society. They are getting a lot of their information from Russian state media, and Russian state media is twisting this and swinging it into their favor. So the majority of the population does not see that it is the U.S. and Ukraine and Europe who are actually putting these things into motion. They still think that, it's Russia that's sitting there. The big bad bullies of NATO and Ukraine are pushing against, this country of Russia, and they're trying to keep them off of the world stage.
I feel like that's insulting to the intelligence of the Russian people, though, because, obviously, do they when you say it's like a closed society and everything, they don't have access to
Yes, that's
other
what I mean
world
by that.
medias? Okay.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I still don't understand how saying, that Putin is, open to the meeting, but it has to be well prepared, and that the expert level work needed is, quote, not in full swing, end quote. I don't see how that is an acceptable excuse.
It's not. It really
even
isn't.
Even the people within the country, I just don't see how to them they'd be like, oh yes, that makes sense. That's everyone else is wrong and we are fully right. I don't know.
Yeah, if you even look at the U.S. society, right, when we have two political factions, and you've got two groups of people who are so entrenched in their position, they only watch the news that speaks to their point of view. They only read social media posts or see social media posts that agree with their worldview, and so they're in this bubble. And so they do sometimes, even with everything that's in front of them that's saying the exact opposite, they'll stay entrenched in their own belief system.
You're right. You're right. I wasn't thinking about it from that angle. I was thinking about it from my perspective. I'm like, how can you not see it? Well, also, I'm not a civilian living in Russia right now. So there's that right there.
Yeah, and you do this podcast with an open mind, and you listen to everything that's going on, and you don't make your opinions, based off of one side or another. So I think that's part of it.
Yeah, that is a huge part of it. So, all right, well, I guess we need to bring it back to the topic at hand, which you mentioned how the U.S. seems to be responding, but it feels more like a rhetorical recalibration. Like a few weeks ago, there was so much optimism, at least from the White House. But now it feels like that momentum has stalled, and President Trump has gone from being the chief negotiator to openly expressing skepticism about a meeting happening at all. And it's a significant pivot. And it makes you wonder if the U.S. is stepping back, who is going to step in to fill that void?
Hey, that's a great question. You have Europe, which some in Washington, D.C. now see as a hindrance to peace. Then you have other actors like China and Turkey. They have their own interests and their own relationships with Russia and Ukraine. So if the U.S. steps back, this creates a vacuum between all of those nations. And look, after the summit, there's a lot of talk about a 2-week time frame for a meeting to be arranged. Now, that deadline has come and gone. The President Trump has now said he's not sure if the meeting is going to happen at all. He even raised the possibility of, quote, very big consequences, end quote, if the war does not end. He also talked about a potential economic war on Russia. Now, this is a significant shift in his rhetoric. Remember, the rhetoric was antagonistic against Ukraine for the most part. Now it's against Russia. So this entire situation has surely shifted in just a couple of weeks now.
And it's also drawn reactions from other world leaders, like French President Emmanuel Macron warned that President Trump risked being played by Putin if the meeting does not go ahead.
Yeah, it's coming from a man who got played by Putin in 2022. So I guess it takes one to know one. But this is something that we mentioned on this podcast as well. Don't get sucked into those horrible optics that we saw Macron get sucked into with that abnormally long table, 2 world leaders on opposite sides of said table. This is a classic Russian power dynamic. And to me, it raises a valid question. When does a photo op then become a strategic disadvantage?
Well, amidst all of this, the violence on the ground is continuing. Like Russia has stepped up its attacks with a large-scale missile and drone strike on Kiev that killed at least 21 people.
Yeah, the current reality on the ground, it's starkly at odds with the publicly desired diplomatic outcome. Now, neither side appears to be genuinely ready for a negotiated peace. Instead, they're engaged in a brutal effort to improve the leverage of either side. Now, this recent surge in Russian attacks, that coupled with Ukraine's strikes on Russian oil infrastructure, these aren't just military actions. They are tactical moves designed to weaken the enemy's resolve and then force that enemy to the negotiating table from a position of disadvantage. So the battlefield, for now, remains the primary theater of negotiation.
And then there is the unfortunate assassination of former Parliament Speaker Andrei Parubi, which adds yet another layer to this.
Yeah, it does. The killing of such a high-profile figure, a man so central to Ukraine's pro-Western movement, sends this chilling message to Ukrainians across the country. This happened in the Ukrainian city of Lviv, which for the most part has been shielded from this conflict in eastern Ukraine. And it certainly speaks to the ongoing internal threats by Russian saboteurs and the deep-seated divisions that persist within the country of Ukraine.
So what does a targeted killing like this mean for the morale of the country and the stability of the government?
Look, this is most certainly a psychological warfare tactic, something that Russia has been doing since this war began. Now, he is the former speaker of the Ukrainian parliament, but he's was a very striking figure who was very prominent in Ukrainian politics. Now, like I said, is very prominent in the city of Lviv in western Ukraine, in this part that was largely spared from the front lines. So the message to the Ukrainian population from Russia is clear that no one is truly safe. So this can kind of sow panic. It'll definitely erode the public's sense of security. And I will say that is a major pillar of their national resilience at this moment.
Well, after 3.5 years of discussing this conflict, it is clear that this war has many more dimensions than the daily headlines tend to suggest. The assassination of a political figure in a relatively safe city, it speaks to a level of psychological warfare that is, frankly, quite unsettling. And it makes me think about other conflicts that we are keeping an eye on, where the human cost is immense and the lines between military, political, and social fronts are completely blurred. And of course, I am alluding to the situation in the Middle East, specifically in and around Gaza, which has seen a number of major developments over the past few days. From a renewed Israeli offensive to talk of annexation and an escalating humanitarian crisis, the landscape continues to shift daily. So let us start with the military developments here. It has been reported that Israel has declared Gaza City a combat zone, which is what they wanted to do anyways, and has resumed its planned offensive. So this is a significant move. And what is your analysis behind this action at this moment?
Yeah, we know that Israel had previously been conducting what it called tactical pauses for that aid delivery. Now that is over. That has ended. A stated goal from the Israeli military is to, quote, bring back all the kidnapped hostages and dismantle Hamas, end quote. That's what they've said from the very beginning. So the declaration of Gaza City as a combat zone indicates a major shift from those targeted strikes to a broader, more intense ground operation. This is likely a decision to lean into Israel's military advantage and attempt to achieve those stated goals without negotiating with Hamas.
And that leads us directly into the humanitarian situation, which has reached a critical point. The death toll from the war is immense. And according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, it is now over 63,000 people, and more than 300 people have died from malnutrition. Outside of the UN and Gaza Health Ministry, the crisis has been validated by multiple independent sources. So sorry, Israel, you're not going to be able to come in here and swing this back in your favor, including the IPC, which is a group of international food security experts, which has officially declared a famine in Gaza City, which we talked about that last week, I believe.
Yes.
With a new offensive underway, I mean, this almost seems like a silly question to ask, but how will this inevitably compound the crisis and impact the ability to get aid to those who need it most? I guess now, since, Israel doesn't have to hold those pauses for aid to get through because it's a combat zone and they're just trying to protect their people. So forget everybody else who's in the crosshairs, I guess.
Yeah, and I will say the IPC is, as you said, it's a group of international food security experts, but they work with many different faith-based groups, both Christian, Jewish, Islamic, many different non-government organizations and governments. So it's not something like we talk about with the UN, where we go, yeah, well, Hamas has kind of infiltrated that part of the UN. The IPC seems to be multifaceted, and so now they're saying that this is a famine in Gaza City, while Israel is stopping that aid to declare Gaza City a war zone. And this renewed offensive is going to certainly exacerbate what's already a desperate humanitarian situation. But there is certainly a risk-reward calculation from the IDF. Israeli forces are operating on the premise that a new offensive is necessary to neutralize these remaining threats. They have stated their intent to move civilians out of harm's way, but the options for safe havens are few and far between at this point. On the ground, aid deliveries are already facing immense challenges. Reports from non-government organizations or NGOs indicate that blockades, damaged infrastructure, and active combat zones are severely restricting much-needed access to that aid. Now, the decision to halt airdrops, which, yes, that was condemned by the UN. Having the airdrops was condemned by the UN, but at least they were one source of last resort for aid that moves into Gaza City. This removes just another lifeline for the people of Palestine. Now, ultimately, both sides are making decisions with grave consequences for the civilian population. I'm talking about the IDF and Hamas. Trust is at an all-time low, and that is saying something, with the historical trust being already non-existent between the two. So this makes the coordination of aid and the protection of civilians a near impossible task. What we're witnessing is a complete breakdown of the conditions needed for basic human survival for a significant portion of the population of Palestine.
So basically what you're saying is that there is no end in sight for the civilian suffering in Palestine. Let's transition to the issue of the hostages. The Israeli military has recovered the remains of 2 more hostages, and it is believed that nearly 50 remain in Gaza, with only about 20 thought to be alive at this point. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum is now putting more pressure on the Israeli government to prioritize a deal, because the deal has been on the back burner for a while.
Yeah.
So
Months.
how does this renewed military action in Gaza City affect the possibility of a deal for the remaining hostages?
Yeah, look, the military and political objectives are in conflict here. On one hand, you've got the intensified offensive that is seen by some as a way to pressure Hamas into a deal. Now, the idea is that increased military force is going to weaken Hamas to the point where they're going to be forced to negotiate on Israel's terms. On the other hand, the Hostages and Missing Families Forum is right to be concerned. A large-scale urban offensive inherently puts the remaining living hostages at extreme risk. It's a very difficult, very delicate calculus, and weighing the potential of a military victory against the immediate risk to those still in captivity is a difficult decision, apparently, for the Israeli government.
Yeah, from what you were saying, this just doesn't make logical sense. Saying you want the hostages released, but then pushing a violent offensive into the very places those hostages are being held, it doesn't make sense. At this point, I can only foresee a tragic end to this conflict where everybody loses. It feels that way already, honestly.
Yeah.
With that said, we have to talk about the political developments, which feel equally significant. The far-right Israeli finance minister has called for the annexation of the Gaza Strip if Hamas refuses to disarm. He has outlined a 4-week phased plan to do this. And while Prime Minister Netanyahu has not publicly commented on this specific proposal, he has hinted at a plan for Israel to take control of all Gaza, which I had a feeling that was the end game anyways. They weren't too happy to give up the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians back when they had to do it. So anyways, what does this kind of talk from a government minister tell us about the long-term political direction?
Well, I think I just read a couple of hours ago that President Trump has put in a 10-year phased plan to move all the Palestinians out and take ownership of the Gaza Strip. So there's also that one that is being
America. He wants America, a 10-year plan for America to take over the Gaza Strip. He really pushing that Trump Gaza, or what they call it. What did they call it whenever those AI images came out of?
Wasn't it Trump Gaza?
Was it Trump Gaza? I don't remember what it was called. Something with Trump in it.
Yeah.
Like the least subtle.
The way that I read it is that defense contractors would come in to provide security, remove all of the remaining civilians from the area, and do a phased return of the area to Israel, who, believes, just like you said, they weren't too happy when it was given back to the Palestinians back in 2005. So they still believe that this is Israeli land. And once, as we always say, how far back in history do we need to go to give someone back their land? I think we play a very dangerous game if we just keep playing tit for tat for giving people their land back that they had when they controlled it. I guess this land is your land. No, this land is no one's land. Maybe we're just all here to maybe live together in peace and harmony. And it sounded like a hippie right now, but
yeah,
I'm just getting a little sick and tired.
Yes. But you wouldn't have this podcast without humans being humans.
I'd much rather do a different podcast.
Yeah, it would be, we'd go back to whenever we'd go to the beach and drink and just ramble.
Yeah, that's the podcast I want.
The earlier episodes where we made no sense at all. We were
while trying to make sense of the world.
Made no sense, but yeah.
But you asked, from the Israeli perspective, what does this tell us about the long-term political direction? And I think it tells us that There are very serious and powerful voices within the Israeli government who are not only thinking about the immediate future of the conflict, but are also actively pushing for a fundamentally different post-war reality than many people, whether I would say many people who are pro-Palestine or neutral in this conflict were not wanting. Now, the proposal, which Hamas has called an official call to exterminate our people, the people of Palestine, is on the extreme end of the political spectrum. Like I said, it was far-right, Israel's far-right government. Now, even Prime Minister Netanyahu's statements about taking military control of all of Gaza suggest there is zero desire at this point to hand the territory back to a Palestinian civilian administration.
The idea of taking complete military control and fundamentally altering the status of Gaza, that is going to have massive geopolitical consequences. I still believe this proves that while Hamas started this conflict on October 7th, 2023, the war represents an opportunity for Israel to permanently change the landscape back in their favor, obviously.
Yes.
We have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to pivot to another major flashpoint in the region. There have been reports of an Israeli airstrike on Houthi targets in Yemen, and we are going to talk about what that means for the two nations and for the region as a whole. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, listeners. Thank you for sticking with us. Before the break, we were talking about the war on the ground in Gaza and how the IDF is looking to pressure Hamas. So now, let's talk about another Iranian proxy that Israel's actively targeting. Of course, I'm talking about the Houthis of Yemen. This week, the IDF targeted a government facility in Sana'a, the capital city of Yemen, a place that you once called home, dare I say? Am I even allowed to say that? I don't even know.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. I guess you can get into that. You can explain what that means.
Yeah.
At least according to the Yemeni government, you called it.
It was my home. Yeah.
It was your home. So can you walk us through what happened in Sana'a?
Yeah, and I'm sure most of our listeners are people who know us. I spent some time in Yemen years ago. Was put on a watch list because of it, but that's just a fun story from our
I'm still mad about us being on that watch list. I'm still mad about them making me throw away all my baby's formula and throw away her bottles and
the searches and delaying.
Oh my gosh, all my stuff was always searched. And one time they opened, I think I've complained about this on the podcast probably 2 or 3 times, but they freaking opened the baby shampoo. It was Natalie's special baby shampoo, and didn't close it. Opened the cans of formula, didn't close it, and it got all over everything. And back then, it got in my Chi hair straightener, which Chi's, when they first came out, they were really expensive, and you were an E4 at that point. And so, money was tight. I could not afford another darn cheese straightener at that point. I was livid. And it was all in the name of national security. I got that fun little piece of paper where they were like, we checked all your stuff. Say something about it.
Yeah.
What you gonna do about it?
But don't say it to us.
Yeah, don't say it to us. We don't care. Okay.
Now, I will say that I was in Yemen before the Houthis took over. And if you can believe it, the situation has only gotten worse since that time. I was there when it was Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula, or AQAP. But as for the most recent IDF strike, they targeted a compound in the Yemeni capital. The Houthi rebels who control Sana'a announced that their de facto prime minister, along with several other ministers, was killed in that strike, and Israel later confirmed that they had targeted a meeting of senior Houthi officials, but they were still verifying the results of those strikes.
That sounds like a textbook decapitation strike. This is something Israel has been known to do, like trying to cut the head off of these proxies. So is that what we saw here?
Yeah, it is. It's not some random attack. This was a targeted operation aimed at the very top of the Houthi command structure. Now, from an intelligence perspective, what is striking is the level of precision, the fact that they knew this was going on, where it was going on, and exactly where to hit. So to hit a specific meeting of ministers suggests a high degree of confidence in their intelligence. And this fits squarely within a broader strategic pattern we have seen from Israel against all of the Iranian proxies.
Well, Israel's intelligence is known to be second to none, so I'm not surprised that they went in there confidently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you are obviously alluding to the previous strikes against Hamas and Hezbollah leadership. Like leaders and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And just think about the elimination of Hamas's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran last year. You had Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, in Beirut. And then we saw Yahya Sinwar in Gaza. This operation in Sana'a looks like the next step in that campaign. So it's continuous, trying to get the head of each leadership. It's an aggressive, proactive approach, but it's trying to neutralize threats by removing their most important leaders.
But have they learned nothing from Captain America? Where he
What is
cut off
Captain America? Oh, Hydra.
Cut off the head of the Hydra, and then 2 more grow in its place.
But they have not learned that lesson.
No, I don't think anyone's learned that lesson, to be honest.
I know.
You just mentioned this is an aggressive, proactive approach to neutralizing threats by removing their most important leaders. And from an intelligence perspective, it seems to be successful, at least, on the front end. Israel has consistently been able to find and eliminate these key figures, yet these groups themselves are still here. So why is Israel so successful at the tactical level, like taking out the leaders, but seemingly unable to dismantle the groups entirely?
I mean, there's a simple answer for this. It's that we're not talking about traditional militaries. You can defeat a traditional military by removing its commanding general because the military's strength lies in a top-down hierarchical structure. So when the head is cut off, the body often becomes disoriented and ineffective. But these are ideological groups. Their power does not come from a single person. It comes from an idea or multiple ideas.
What you are saying here is that these proxies are not fighting for a man or even a country, but for a core belief.
Yeah, precisely. And I bring that with Hamas and Palestine. I don't think that Hamas is fighting for Palestine. I don't think Hezbollah is fighting for Lebanon. I don't think the Houthis are fighting for Yemen. They are fighting for various belief systems. The core of their strength is the belief that Israel, and by extension Western culture, is an existential enemy. Now, the directive is not a military order. For them, this is a higher calling. So you cannot assassinate an ideology. You can kill a leader, and it might cause temporary disruption, but another leader is going to rise up. Another leader is going to take their place. The next attack may also be even more severe. This is driven by a desire for revenge from that group.
So these operations are more about disrupting the group's operational rhythm than defeating them?
Yeah, I think that's right. Israel wants to degrade command and control. They want to create a state of uncertainty. And these decapitation strikes make it harder for the groups to communicate, plan, and execute large-scale operations. But like I said, they cannot eliminate the underlying grievance or the ideology that fuels them. So it's an ongoing, long-term historical challenge, and history tells us there is no clear endpoint to this.
So this is not just about a strike in Yemen. It is about an ongoing shadow war playing out across the entire region. The Houthis have been firing missiles at Israel and attacking shipping in the Red Sea. So is this strike a response to that? Or is that just what they're using as an excuse?
No, I think it's absolutely a component of that larger conflict. The Houthis have been an active front, and this strike is a direct attempt to degrade their command and control so they can open up the Red Sea, so that Israel can open up the Red Sea to traffic again. Now, there is some nuance here regarding the casualties. The Houthi prime minister who was killed, he was more seen as a figurehead. He's not necessarily a part of the inner circle. The more critical targets would have been the military leaders, like the Houthi defense minister. He's a known missile expert, and the reporting on his status has been a little bit confusing, so his fate remains a key piece of unknown information at the moment.
So while the operation was a success in terms of hitting the target, the full impact of the strike is still unknown. So what does that uncertainty mean for the coming weeks?
I mean, it means that the Houthis will likely feel pressure to retaliate for this strike. Now, how they do so, that's going to be a critical indicator. If we see a symbolic response, that's going to suggest a leadership that is more cautious and perhaps more fractured than we previously thought. Now, if the Houthis decide on a significant military response, that might indicate that the strike did not truly behead the organization, and they remain a capable and determined threat. Now, the Houthi leadership has already said they are going to continue to support Gaza, so we can expect them to remain engaged in this conflict.
It seems like every time we think we have a handle on one part of the conflict, a new front opens up. That is the nature of this current geopolitical environment, it seems. All of this is globally interconnected. Every action has a reaction, and as you explain each week, intelligence drives it all. So thank you, Kervin, as always, for breaking that down for us. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
Nothing I could think of now. I'm working on looking into this relationship between India and China. I just saw it just before we hit record on here. Modi from India and Xi from China had this sort of photo op, and India says that they are kind of an ally to China. And I talked about how India was like my one geopolitical country I was looking at.
Your wild card?
Yeah, I didn't want to say wild card because, that's my North Korea term, but they are a wild card geopolitically for sure, because they're playing not just two sides, but like seven different sides.
All the sides. Hey,
they're an emerging economy.
Gotta do what you gotta do,
Absolutely.
I want to wish a belated happy birthday to our sweet little Madeline.
She's 5 years old now.
She's 5 years old. No, she turned 21 yesterday. And what the heck? What is that about? Like, what on earth? How?
That's all I got for now. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's all I have for now, too. I just can't believe it. She's 21. She is a fully baked adult in the eyes of the law. Except she can't, like some hotels, she can't rent hotel rooms until she's like 25 or something. Some of the hotels you have to be, maybe it's 23.
I think it's 21. It's 8.
Not all of them. Not all of them. I can tell you that with absolute certainty.
Yeah, but that was like 30 years ago.
Years ago? You think I was trying to get hotel rooms 30 years ago?
You know what I mean. You talking about you for Warped Tour. Was it Warped Tour?
No.
Are you going to Oklahoma?
Yeah, no. It was Warped Tour, and then there was the 3 dates of Warped Tour that my sister and her friend and I went to in Texas. We went to and couldn't get a hotel. And then Oklahoma, I picked my sister up from school. It was her last day of school, and we immediately drove to Oklahoma City because we had an All American Rejects concert that we wanted to go to.
Yeah.
And we had to beg. Like, I was so tired, I couldn't keep my eyes open. And it's really wild to me thinking about how my parents were just like, yeah, sure, go to these concerts and go these places, and didn't follow up and find out where we were going to stay. They were just like, figure it out on your own. And we did every single time. I went in and begged several hotels. It's like they thought I was going to throw a party, but whenever I walked in, barely able to stand because I was exhausted from driving from Homa all the way to not even into Oklahoma City. It was like right outside Oklahoma City because I was so tired. I'm like, you really think I'm going to go into your room and throw a party right now? Do I look like a party animal?
You're going to an All-American Rejects concert.
Well,
We know where they hold those now.
people's basements and stuff. Didn't they get
Backyard.
their start? Yeah, I think they got their start doing something like that. Didn't they
I
play
think
at like
so, yeah.
Buc-ee's or something? I don't know. But either way, I went into a hotel. It was like the third or fourth one because the other three were like, no, you're 18. You can't, or 19. I don't remember if I was 18 or 19, but like, no, we're not going to give you a room. But luckily there was this woman who was behind the counter, and I was like, please, I need a place to sleep. And she was like, all right, I'm going to take a copy of your ID. If there's any damage, you are going to have to pay for it. And no one else is allowed in your bedroom, in the room. So they were like, it can only be you and your sister. And we're like, that's all we wanted. And it was a hole in the wall. We slept on top of the comforter, and we like there was all kinds of interesting things going outside the door all night. There was screaming and like banging and all kinds of things, but we didn't care. We were so exhausted. But I still am grateful to that lady for letting me get that hotel room, and she wasn't supposed to. Like, she didn't have to do that, and all the other motels didn't, and that was their right. They can refuse service, but this lady took a chance. And I appreciate it.
She must have been an ABBA fan.
What? Because I said
Take a chance on me. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Don't sing it.
I'm not gonna sing it. Oh, I'm not gonna sing it. You're the one who brought ABBA up. You didn't even have to bring ABBA up. That's enough. That's enough out of you.
Enough out of me.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
What else do we have going? I'm back from the land of bland.
You're back from what?
The land of bland.
Oh yeah, you went to England. But you had never been to the Cambridge area before.
No.
How was that? Did you like it?
I still absolutely hate driving in the UK.
It had to be worse because the last time you had to drive in England, I was there and I could look at your phone and tell you where to go.
Yeah.
It had to be harder.
Their traffic circles are the absolute worst.
Because you like going right instead?
I absolutely like going the other way. I didn't do that. But like sometimes you get into an intersection and you don't know it's a traffic circle. But there's like this little bitty bump right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, the sign says to make way, so you should know it's a traffic circle. But if you were just driving around, you would have no clue it was a traffic circle. I didn't hit any bikers.
Oh, that's good. You didn't hit any bikers last time. You just almost.
I was very close.
You were very close. And thank goodness that biker was paying attention, because you sure weren't. Mm-hmm. No, you were trying to pay attention to too many things at once. You were trying to like keep in mind, stay on the left side. I cannot go right. That would have been like constant in my head. That would have been what I was thinking about the entire time. Stay left, stay left, stay left, stay left. And that would definitely override any other thing that I needed to pay attention to.
There's also trying to pay attention to vehicles that may be merging into. So I still think logically the biker was in the wrong, because he was just zooming through the center of a traffic circle.
Yeah, but
to me, that's
they're
not
allowed
smart.
to do that. They're allowed to do that, though. So
legally, he was right. Logically, he was wrong.
Logically, no. Logically, with your American mind driving skills, he was wrong, but he was right in his country. You're in his country, though. You got to keep that in mind.
That's true. But yeah, driving was torturous.
And you didn't even eat anything like fun.
No,
like
I had nothing British.
Well, I kept telling you to go have a nice dinner somewhere, and you were just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And you lame, bland pizza.
No, the pizza was good. What did
Mm-mm.
I get the burger the other?
Yeah, you got the burger. It was like 3 days ago.
That is how memorable that burger was. It was a frozen patty on 2 pieces of bread.
Did it taste like a hospital burger? Because
It did.
I love hospital burgers. I don't care. I
Mm-mm.
do not care. I used because they are the ones that taste like school cafeteria burgers. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I guess it's a comfort thing. It reminds me of childhood, and that's why I love it so much because obviously they don't taste that great, but I love them.
Yeah.
I ate a burger when my dad was in the hospital. I ate a burger almost every single day. And I loved that it just came dry ass bun, bland hockey puck burger, and then you had to go to the salad bar and get your tongs and take the toppings separately. And I was like here for it. I get so many pickles. Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. And then
This
the
had no
packets
pickles.
of mayo. Huh? No pickles.
No.
I don't know if I would trust a British pickle anyways.
Well, that's true. I made the wrong decision, but the decision was made.
Well,
I did have an excellent meal yesterday.
your dinner kebab.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good.
I can't wait. I can't wait to try that place.
And it's vegan too, so you'll
So,
be able to.
If I don't want mystery meat, I can get vegan stuff.
They're actually really famous for their vegan
stuff.
Vegan kebab.
Vegan kebab.
My favorite thing is the Turkish pizza, which is a whole pizza rolled up like
What?
like it's a kebab.
They roll up pizza?
Yeah.
What do they put on it?
They put the donor meat and then all the veggies, and then I don't make them. I ask them nicely.
Yeah, there you
go. Make it spicy.
What do they spice it up with?
Like chili, the red chili flakes, and they have a spicy sauce, and it's so good.
Is it actually spicy though? That's the important question.
It's flavorful. I'll leave it as.
What am I gonna do there?
You're gonna teach people.
I'm going to bring.
No, people are excited because they're gonna get Cajun food.
What do you mean people are excited?
Work people are excited.
Oh, okay. Well,
well, the question was, so you're Cajun? I'm like, yep. Oh, so you can do gumbo and everything? No, it's Anakin though.
I'm Cajun by association.
Yes.
Your dad is the one who initiated me.
Oh yeah, and you do it perfectly.
I was going to try to make a gluten-free gumbo for Madeleine's birthday, and she was like, she said, "You are not experimenting with one of my favorite foods on my birthday."
What did you guys do? Sushi? Was it just sushi or? I don't remember.
No, I didn't make anything. I got some gluten-free pizzas because she didn't want to do anything because she spent last week in New York. And so she was just like, I just want to relax. I got her a bottle of one of those horrible flavored fruit wines, but she loves those. And like she said, she's got to pick a struggle. She can't. Yeah. Well, she doesn't smoke. I just want to say that. But one of this funny thing that she said to me last week was if she ever did smoke, it was going to be like a man with tobacco wrapped in a paper or wrapped in, rolling paper or whatever. She's like, I'm going to be like a man if I smoke. She's like, I can't like fruity drinks and vape. I got to pick a struggle.
For sure. We all get one struggle.
Yeah, one struggle. And she chose the fruity drinks. But she doesn't smoke either, so anyways. And she doesn't even really like drinking.
Yeah.
She just did that to celebrate her birthday. Yeah, she celebrated her birthday and we did a little cheers. Yeah, you did. I told you to. You friggin' went home
I was
You
tired.
Yeah, you went home and I was like, "What are you doing? You were supposed to, have a beer or dessert or something, and you got both. What was your dessert that you got?"
It was a brownie with ice cream.
Oh, I bought some gluten-free brownies from Wegmans.
Mm.
They are delicious. They are so fudgy and wonderful. I was like, "Heck yes. Maybe this isn't so bad after all."
Oh man,
I
it's still a
mean,
struggle.
oh,
You'll be happy when you get out here.
it is such a struggle. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna be like, "Oh, Brad, I forgot you
All the
exist.
bread.
Forgot you didn't have to taste like sawdust or like cake or crumble in my mouth." And
I'm gonna have to. Most people have to pull their women out of a bar. I'm gonna have to pull you out of the bakery.
what do you mean most people have to pull their women out of a bar? Is that a problem? Is that a problem in Germany?
No, not in Germany, but I sent you that video of I'm a lawyer. I'm a
Oh,
lawyer.
she's like, "I'm the AG. I'm an
And she
AG."
wasn't. She was one of the assistants.
Yeah. People throwing their weight around like that when they are clearly in the wrong, it always brings me satisfaction to see
Mhm.
the consequences. It makes me happy. Like, basically, like pulling rank with a cop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I guess to tell the story a little bit, there's a video going around of two women that had a bit too much at a restaurant and they were asked to leave and they didn't want to leave. And they got into a kerfuffle with the cops that came out, and one thought that she could throw her rank as a lawyer at the cops and then found out that
yeah.
she didn't know the law.
Yeah. Yeah, she tried to tell him how he needed to conduct himself and what he
Yeah.
needed to do. And I know there are times when that does need to happen. There are cops that, throw their power around, and
Yeah.
I understand that, but in this situation, he was trying to be patient. He was trying to listen to her, but also get her to comply with what the restaurant wanted her to do, which was leave. She didn't want to
Right.
comply. She thought she was above all those things. And the restaurant was like, "Trespasser, cuff her, do something." And she just kept insisting. She was trying to like switch the power dynamic and make it where she had control over the situation by saying, "I demand that you turn off your body cam. You have to do that as a civilian. You have to do that." And he's like,
You
"No."
nailed it on that one.
Yeah.
She tried to switch the power dynamic.
Yeah. And the end game was just freaking walk out. Just leave. That's all you had to do. This didn't have to turn into like an ego thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just freaking like you already messed up. You had a few too many beverages, which happens sometimes, and you were becoming belligerent, and they asked you to leave, and all you had to do was comply. And there are literally signs in every business all over the world that say, "Right to deny service." And they were
Yep.
denying you service, so get the F out of there.
Oh, and the speaking of right to deny service,
Hmm.
in the lounge at the airport, there was a sign that said, after we will serve one drink. After two drinks, we will remind you that getting on a plane intoxicated is an offense. After three drinks, we will point you in the direction of the sign that says it is illegal to board a plane intoxicated. And it says, after four drinks, we will strongly encourage you to leave the lounge. And I was like, oh, that's fun.
Wow. I mean, that's
UK.
really smart. That's really, but I can't imagine drinking 4 beverages before getting on a plane. Like, you either had a rough day or you have a problem. Or it could be both.
Both of those things can be true.
That's true.
I haven't used that one in a while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, well, I
All right.
I will not have 4 beverages in one lounge. Maybe I will lounge hop. Just kidding.
you get
Go to the
there are like 4 of them I could get into, and like
what? You should
this one
come
area.
see. You should have gone to each one. You should have, checked out the buffet. That's my goal. I'm going to check the buffet. I've got a very clear goal in mind, and it's the buffet.
Yep.
I love buffets.
I guess we can wrap this one up.
Oh my gosh. We haven't done one of these.
Well, it was good. I liked it.
These little, we'll see if anybody else does. I mean, we just like talking to each other.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
And if you liked this, please let us know. We'll just do this the whole time.
And honestly, if you don't
tired of this world.
Yeah, we needed something that wasn't necessarily tied to geopolitics,
Yeah.
But also, if you don't like it, you can say you don't like it, but that doesn't mean we're going to change it.
Right. But it's good to know that you don't like it.
Yeah. Thank you for letting us know that you don't like it. But this is also...
Feel seen and heard.
Yeah. But also, this is an old format. We used to do this all the time. This was one of our things. And
10 minutes of geopolitical talk in 6 hours.
6 hours of just nonsense.
Yes. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, I like the nonsense too, but also...
Let us know in the comments below.
No, I also understand why people wouldn't want to hear it. And I guess we should have like prefaced this. Well, actually, I just didn't know we were going to go off on this little adventure. Otherwise, we would have prefaced the start of it with, all right, if you're just here for the news, get out of here. Leave.
We're rusty on that part. We used to be really good at that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about kind of what was going on in our lives.
Yeah,
so
bring it back.
Anyways, happy birthday, baby Madeline. It's not a baby. And we love you a whole lot. Thanks for being the best.
Love you, Madeline.
Yeah. She's going to be so mad.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
She won't care.
Well, thank you so much for listening to This Week Explained. We hope you found it informative and engaging. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, we would love to hear from you. For more in-depth coverage of these stories and more, be sure to follow us on social media at This Week Explained.
Tiana, thank you so much. And until next week, stay safe out there.